You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Talk about your freshman year at Alabama and even the redshirt year that got you ready to perform at the highest level.
You had to learn a lot about humility, about being patient to play at Alabama, and you still knew that you're going to have a shot to win a championship every year. And so that's the line. And so I think that's what's really missing with today's football. You got NIL, you got social media.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Hello and welcome to a Football Friday Live right here on the Early Line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Joe Ranieri. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern Time to set the stage for the second full weekend of the National Football League regular season in 2024 that started last night in Joe's neck of the woods down there in South Florida between the Dolphins and the Bills. A full recap of Thursday Night Football. Buffalo dominant over the Dolphins on the road in this scary situation and confounding future for Tua Tagovailoa. We will break it all down here over the next 3 hours on this Football Friday. We will preview the entirety of our Week 2 Sunday slate in full, each and every game with some picks, some wagers, and some thoughts throughout this Football Friday, and set the stage, of course, for Week 3 of this college football season, where, Joe, the best game of the weekend in college football is not on a Saturday. It's more than likely on this Friday night in the Little Apple of Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, a little something for everybody here as we head into the weekend, Ben. But I was with a number of Dolphin fans last night, and the air just got sucked right out of the room after the Tua situation. Very unfortunate. A lot of questions remain for that team moving forward.
Yes, they certainly do. Let's start with the action on the gridiron yesterday. The Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins in South Florida. The Falcons booked as a 2.5-point home favorite, total of 48.5. A marquee matchup to kick off week number 2, a divisional duel in Miami. And it was all Buffalo all night long. The Bills win outright, 31-10, easily winning outright as a 2.5-point road underdog for just the 14th time, Joe, in the last 5 years since the beginning of the 2020 NFL season. That's all that Buffalo has been booked as a dog 14 times. They're now 7-7 straight up, 8-6 against the number. A dominant Bills victory where James Cook scored 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and all in the first 2 quarters. I mean, there was one team, forget about the Tua situation, Ben. There was one team that came to South Beach looking like midseason form, while another team looked not even remotely close and ready to take on these Buffalo Bills. I mean, they came there with bad intentions, and boy, oh boy, did they just manhandle Miami.
Yeah, they certainly did. Now, as you can see on your screen, we get to the Tua Tagovailoa situation. In what was a rough night for Tua that featured 3 interceptions, including a pick 6 from Buffalo to start off the third quarter. Later in that quarter, on a scramble to pick up a first down, Tua Tagovailoa gets the yardage and then continues to go, almost going head first into Buffalo safety Damar Hamlin. He was down on the turf for some time. He exited with the help of training staff and into the locker room. He did not return with a concussion. Joe, of course, 2022 for Tua Tagovailoa was marred by numerous head injuries that left his future in football in doubt. 2023, a clean bill of health. So a very scary moment and situation for Tua Tagovailoa moving forward.
Yeah, at the worst case scenario, the worst nightmare of the Miami Dolphins. Ben, it's been like that actually over the last couple of seasons. This was what they were really worried about last year. He comes into this camp apparently a lot lighter because he wanted to be able to maneuver a little bit more. And, you know, they've taken every precaution in the world for him. And really, it didn't look like all that crazy of a hit. And of all people, Damar Hamlin. But that's all it took. And this is what they have been worried about now over the last 2 seasons for Miami.
And when you have the deal that Tua Tagovailoa signed at the end of August to become the 4th highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, a little bit more than $53 million, this is a concern. Football aside, Tua Tagovailoa, a good human being, a person, an individual, a husband, a father, a son, has to now deal with numerous head injuries where outside of football, his future as a person is a little bit murky. We're not going to assume what Tua Tagovailoa is going to do, but I'm sure there will be deep conversations and discussions with Miami training staff, doctors, family members, teammates about what to do moving forward for Tua Tagovailoa. As we get more information in the coming days, of course, we will bring those to you. So Buffalo's dominant division win over Miami, a little bit marred by an unfortunate and scary situation last night in South Florida. Elsewhere, Joe, now we go to college football. A marquee matchup on a Thursday night in San Marcos, Texas, between Texas State and Arizona State. High-scoring affair to the first 3 quarters. It was 21-21 all at the break. It was 28 even up after the third quarter. Only 1 bit of scoring in the fourth and final. Ian Hershey, the kicker for the Sun Devils, delivers on a 27-yard field goal about halfway through that fourth and final quarter. Arizona State improves to a perfect 3-0 with a big win over Sun Belt competition in Texas State.
Let this be a big lesson to those dabbling in the sports markets here. Arizona State was a 2.5-point favorite for all purposes looking ahead at this game. And somehow nobody thought they could win this game on the road, Ben. But surprise, they were getting 2.5 points when it closed, and they win by a field goal. Tough break for Texas State. They could have won this game, probably should have won this game, and it would have been huge for them to beat a Big 12 team. But unfortunately, once again, Arizona State, who won 3 whole games last year, has 3 wins already this year.
3 wins in Kenny Dillingham's first year as the head coach at ASU in Tempe, including over at FCS foe in Southern Utah in their opener, and they came nowhere close to covering in that football game. They've already matched their win total from last year this year with 3 wins and 3 covers, all against FBS competition, the only team in the country as of this moment that can say that. South Alabama, by the way, in another game that featured a Sun Belt program last night, puts up 87 to win 87-10 over FCS foe Northwestern State. It was ugly for Northwestern State. Now we go Major League Baseball. The long-awaited MLB debut of former Vanderbilt pitcher Kumar Rocker. He looked solid in his first outing for Texas in Seattle. 4 innings of work, only 74 pitches, but just 3 hits given up, Joe. 1 earned run in total, striking out 7. You see what this guy is capable of. He was picked 10th by the Mets in 2021, did not sign with New York, played independent ball, and then was drafted 3rd overall the following year by Texas. A strong debut as the Rangers rally to win 5-4.
And I got to tell you, of all the pitches I watched him throw last night, man, that slider is nasty. I mean, nasty. And, I mean, listen, it's the Mariners, so the fact that they were swinging and missing isn't really a shock. But 17 swings and misses is pretty impressive for a kid on his opening appearance. So I think this guy is the limit for Rocker moving forward.
It's not been a great season for the reigning World Series champs. They are going to miss the American League postseason more than likely, and Corey Seager on the shelf for the rest of the year, but some promise with that young pitching arm in Kumar Rocker. The Yankees walk it off for a second consecutive night yesterday up in the Bronx over the Red Sox. Juan Soto delivers the RBI double in extras. Now some quick football news to pay attention to. Cam Rising, Utah's quarterback who missed all of 2023 recovering from a knee injury, is out tomorrow against Utah State in an in-state rivalry. The Aggies in Logan, an 18.5-point underdog. And Joe, don't know if you saw this. The Jacksonville Jaguars are rebranding their new stadium Trevor Bank, not Everbank, Trevor Bank Stadium for the Jags' home debut on Sunday. More on the early line next.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Week 2 of the 2024 NFL season starting last night with our first short week Thursday night football game of the campaign. And a good one to begin, as they often do on TNF early in the season. We'll talk about that come week 7 or 8. But week number 2 started in Miami, a divisional duel between the Bills and the Dolphins. On paper, a great and marquee matchup. Two divisional mates that to end out last year played in a game in Miami to decide the divisional title. Buffalo won. It was their 5th consecutive win and their 4th straight AFC East divisional crown. They entered last night, Joe Ranieri, co-favorites to win the AFC East once again, each at a plus 180 number. But Miami was the home favorite, laying 2.5 for Thursday Night Football with a total of 48 in a hook. Now, two things can live in harmony based on last night. Buffalo was dominant, and the victory incredibly impressive for Josh Allen and the Bills in a statement to start 2024. 31-10 the final there. Buffalo winning outright as a 2.5-point underdog. But the game and the result slightly overshadowed by the scary situation that featured Tua Tagovailoa. In the third quarter, scrambling to pick up a first down, collides with Damar Hamlin, a completely legal play, and remains on the turf. He left the game, exited immediately into the locker room, and was diagnosed with a concussion. 2022, Tua Tagovailoa was diagnosed with multiple concussions, and his season was marred by head injuries. Joe, we start there before we get to the result. There were some former NFL players in the discourse and conversation last night on social media that pleaded for Tua Tagovailoa to hang it up, to call it a career, that his life as a human being, as an individual, as a father, as a husband, far more important than anything he will do as a quarterback on the football field. I don't want to speak for Tagovailoa. He will have those important conversations that are necessary. It is just incredibly unfortunate for Tua Tagovailoa, the NFL's leading passer from a season ago.
And it's a reminder too, Ben, that listen, this at this point with his 8th concussion, the damage could already have been done. You'd never know, but these guys know full well what the consequences are before they step on this field. So this isn't a situation where he had no idea this was. He has known. They have done everything possible with him. His training has changed over the last 2 years, Ben. The way he has slide, the equipment has changed. Like everything they have done in order to hopefully avoid what they just watched happen again last night. And now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think the NFL, unless the NFL doctors are out of their mind, they're not letting him step on the field. We might not see him again until November, if we're lucky here. And I know he's going to try to get back on the field, Ben, because we've seen this with him before. But I think there's going to be a ton of precaution here, which means Miami's got to prep to move forward with a new starting quarterback.
And Skylar Thompson was the backup who filled in midway through the third quarter. He was on the team last year, but inactive for all regular season games. It was his first appearance since 2022. Of course, he started that road playoff game in Western New York against Buffalo because of the injuries to Tua Tagovailoa. In a knee, a hip, an arm, a shoulder, those are easy to diagnose and forecast what the future holds. Head injuries still remain a ton of uncertainty about what the future has in store. We wish the best to Tua Tagovailoa. Now to the actual football game itself. Joe, it was all Buffalo all night. It started on the opening offensive possession for the Bills. 17-yard touchdown toss to James Cook for somebody, myself, whose favorite bet of the night was Cook over 19.5 receiving yards. I'm like, come to Papa. It was the only catch he had all night, but he was great on the ground, and he scored 2 more times. 3 total touchdowns for James Cook as Buffalo was dominant. And, Joe, from the Bills' perspective of things, entering this season, a lot of unknown in Western New York. An entirely new roster, it seemed, on the offensive side, defensive side of the football. Buffalo off to a very strong and impressive 2-0 start, and with a divisional game on a Thursday night to kick off week number 2, added a meaningful nature to this victory for Buffalo.
Listen, Buffalo has, anybody that's been paying attention, has dominated this series. They beat them last year 2 games. You go back prior to that, they had no problem beating them. And the reason that they won as convincingly in this game, make no mistake about it, was never close. Even when it was tied 7-7, Ben, it never felt like Miami was remotely close to being in this game. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that Buffalo, when they play turnover-free football, that makes it very, very difficult when they're getting takeaways. And they got a ton of them last night that all set up opportunities for Josh Allen, who is going to be a problem with Joe Brady's offense. His ability to be able to scramble and roll on third down and find open targets, because guys now are breaking off their routes trying to make sure that Josh Allen doesn't beat them. And guess what's happening? He's hitting guys in stride. This is a problem. It's making everything better, James Cook included, much better on the Buffalo offensive side of the ball with how they're using Josh Allen now compared to how they used him in the beginning of last year and a year prior.
Of course, that was the offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, then in Buffalo. Now it's been Joe Brady. And the main criticism, which is very fair for Josh Allen, we know the talent, we know what he is capable of, the turnovers. He has not had a turnover so far. Prior to the injury, Tua Tagovailoa threw 3 interceptions on the opening drive for Miami. That was a tip ball. Later in the opening half, a miscommunication with Chosen Anderson, and then a pick 6, which was the only scoring in the second half on Miami's opening offensive possession of the third quarter. Jamarcus Ingram taking it back the entire way for the Bills. So 31-10, but Buffalo led 24-10 at the break, and all 3 touchdowns from James Cook in that opening half. Josh Allen didn't have to do much, Joe. He really didn't. Look at the stats. 13 of 19, 139 passing yards. That first passing touchdown to James Cook. He had 2 carries for 2 yards on the ground, and Buffalo still roll. Are the Bills the rightful favorite in the division? We'll debate next.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Added significance to a Week 2 victory on the road for Buffalo in a divisional game. They take the victory over Miami in outright fashion, winning as a 2.5-point underdog in South Florida against the Dolphins. Again, 14 times. That's it. That Buffalo has been an underdog since the start of 2020. Why do I use that time frame, Ranieri? It's the 4 consecutive seasons that the Bills have won an AFC East divisional crown. 14 times a dog, 7 outright victories, 8-6 against the spread. In Buffalo and Miami entered last night co-favorites in the AFC East, both at plus 180, both just 10 cents in front of the New York Jets at a plus 190 number following week number 1, despite some odds positivity entering the season and New York entering as the divisional favorites in the AFC East. Here's where things stand right now. Of course, not just based on a dominant Bills performance in South Florida, but the injury uncertainty surrounding Tua Tagovailoa. We start with Buffalo, plus 105. The Bills, now the division favorites in the AFC East once again. In the shortest numbers we have seen on the Bills any point of this offseason, preseason, training camp, now into the regular season to contend for an AFC title and win a Super Bowl. 6-1, Ranieri, to win the AFC. 11-1 to hoist the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah, and listen, all of that makes sense. It's a great start for the Buffalo Bills right now. A ton of uncertainty for the Miami Dolphins right now. I mean, those numbers could be, they might as well be 120-1 at this point, because until they can figure out what the quarterback position is going to look like, and mark this down here, Ben Stevens, today, I am telling you the phone call has already happened. There will be a reunion with Ryan Tannehill in a Miami Dolphin uniform by the time we get to the next Dolphin game. They need somebody like that to be able to come in with the kind of weapons that they have here. I do think Buffalo is shown, but here's the other problem with Buffalo, Ben. We've seen this before, have we not? With Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, we've seen this kind of dominance early in the season and go, whoa, they're going to be unstoppable. But yeah, well, there's still a dude named Mahomes playing, and until they can beat him, I'm not interested in hearing about what a Super Bowl team this is.
Yeah, there's never been a question about Buffalo with Josh Allen since 2020 when he started playing like an MVP caliber quarterback, what they can do in the regular season. 4 straight divisional championships. However, in that 4-year run, only 1 appearance in the AFC title, and that was 4 years ago in 2020. In Arrowhead, they got bounced by the Chiefs. The last 3 years, they've been bounced in the divisional round despite having home field advantage each of the previous 2 seasons. So 3 of the 4 years bounced in the divisional round, 3 of the 4 years bounced by that guy, Patrick Mahomes, and his Kansas City club. Has your outlook at all changed on Buffalo then, or does it still remain the same? It's a new casting crew in large part for Buffalo, but Josh Allen is still the quarterback. Is it a wait-and-see approach, I guess, then, still on the Bills in your mind, Ranieri, of actually being a true AFC title contender?
As long as Josh Allen is healthy and under center, they're going to have a chance. Now, I will caution Bills fans, and they know this. You have not played a real defense yet. And, you know, the problem with having Josh Allen running around all the time now like he is, he's going to get killed by better defenses. And then all of a sudden, now you got to worry, kind of like what Miami's worried about. The whole reason they stopped running him is because they were trying to prolong his availability and not have him get killed. They keep running this. The better defenses that they play, there's going to be some problems here. So I hope they can find a better mix of than just Josh Allen scrambling left, Josh Allen scrambling right.
So the Jets, of course, Joe, on Monday Night Football, we recapped the game together on Tuesday morning, did not look very good in Santa Clara against the 49ers. And Gang Green entered the year, again, with some odds positivity in some late movement before the season kicked in front of Buffalo and Miami as the AFC East title favorites. They're priced now 2-1. They trail the Bills by nearly $1. Of course, the Jets are just trying to get to the playoffs for the first time since 2010. The last time they won a division was 2002, which was the year of some division reshuffling around the National Football League to have divisions of 4 teams to look the way they do. It's been more than 2 decades since the New York Jets won a divisional crown. Plenty of football coming your way on a Football Friday. MLB news next.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Some Friday Major League Baseball headlines from a short slate on Thursday to set up one of the last weekends that we will see in this regular season. If my math is correct, we have 3 more weekends remaining, including this one that starts on a full Friday today around MLB. But one of the marquee matchups on Thursday in Seattle. The Mariners trying to claw back in the American League West. They entered Thursday just 3.5 games behind the Astros, who played during the day, trying to avoid a sweep against Oakland. But one of the reasons there was a ton of attention on the game in the Northwest because of the opposing pitcher for Seattle, that's Texas's Kumar Rocker, the 10th overall pick out of Vanderbilt back in 2021 by the New York Mets. But after undergoing a physical, the Mets did not sign Rocker. He played independent ball, was drafted by the Rangers the following year in 2022, 3rd overall, and made his long-awaited Major League Baseball debut last night. 74 pitches in only 4 innings, Ranieri, but gave up just 1 earned run and struck out 7. The stuff looked electric. The Rangers ended up winning the game, rallying in the 8th inning, and later Texas wins 5-4. But Kumar Rocker, the story, and he looked darn good.
Very, very good. And that shouldn't come to a shock to anybody, right, Ben? I mean, because the guy's stuff has been absolutely electric. We know it and knew it when he was at Vanderbilt watching him. The whole question was durability and whether or not they could get him healthy enough to do exactly what we saw last night. And boy, oh boy, in a big way, I think this kid, I think the sky is the limit for him. I really do, if they can keep him healthy. He was one of those classic cases, Ben, of being way overused, asking to do way too much on his way up to the bigs, including in college, and now he's paying the price, but hopefully that's all behind him now.
2019, his freshman year at Vandy, the Doors ended up winning a College World Series, and he was voted the most outstanding player in Omaha. He also threw the first ever no-hitter in 2019 in a super regional win over Duke. First ever no-hitter in super regional history of the NCAA baseball tournament. He struck out 19 on way to his no-hitter. A promising young arm for the Texas Rangers, who reunites with the former 1-2 punch and his college teammate Jack Leiter in Arlington. But Texas, the reigning World Series champs, more than likely, Ranieri, going to miss out on the postseason and a chance to defend that championship. And Corey Seager also added to the shelf. His season is done with Texas undergoing sports hernia surgery. Let's go to the bottom of that list. Again, an impactful divisional game yesterday in the American League West. Seattle was hoping the A's would pull off an unforeseen sweep over the Astros. They did not. Houston wins 6-3 to avoid the sweep. 14 starts made by Framber Valdez since the end of June for the Stros, and Houston has won 13 of 14. Valdez yesterday, 6 1/3, only an earned run given up, just 5 hits. When he left the game, the Astros had the lead. Brett Rooker hit a home run in the 8th to tie it, but then Houston scored 4 in the bottom of the 8th to pick up that victory. The Astros still have lost 6 of their last 9, but needed to avoid what would have been a very costly sweep against Oakland yesterday, and Framber Valdez and the Stros delivered.
And again, Houston takes somebody else's cast off, right, and gets them to produce. As I believe Jason Hayward hits a 2-run home run early in that game. And, nobody wanted him, but Houston ends up picking him up. And look at that. All of a sudden now he's playing. He's got big at-bats and big hits at right time for the Houston Astros. This team is nothing but annoying, Ben. That's all they are.
And now they have a 4.5-game lead in the American League West and a minus 3,000 price to win that division once more. Rivalry renewed last night up in the Bronx, and for a second consecutive night in extra innings, the Yankees walk it off at home. It was Jazz Chisholm 2 nights ago. It was Juan Soto, the RBI double in the 10th last night to pick up the 2-1 victory over the Red Sox. 16 games now, though, Joe, for Aaron Judge without a home run. It is the longest drought without the long ball in his MLB career.
Yeah, and also, by the way, the first career walk-off by Soto, I believe, too, right?
Wow.
I think that's the first time we've seen him walk off in a Yankee pinstripe this year. So, as a Yankee, so kudos to Soto. I mean, what took you so long, dude? Only waited until September to walk off? Great. Way to go, man. Yeah. But, I wouldn't worry about the 16-game homerless streak because he'll start a 16-game home run streak any day now.
You hope that he does that in October. That's when it's most important, despite the history that he made in 2022. He was ice cold in the postseason. The O's had the day off yesterday. They lost their series in Fenway during the midweek. The Yankees win. Now a 2-game lead for New York atop the American League East at a minus 350 price. Before we get to the marquee weekend series, Joe, did you see this story? Yesterday, out of the Twins farm system and their organization, they released minor league catcher Derek Bender yesterday after he was telling opposing hitters in single A ball what pitch was coming. He was telling the opposing team what pitch was going to be delivered across the plate. And he was a 6th-round pick out of Coastal Carolina this past draft.
Yeah, never aggravate the catcher on your team. Let this be a lesson,
somehow,
boys and girls. I'm just saying, don't do it. If you are on the other, do not do it. If the pitcher doesn't get along with the catcher, Ben, you know what the catcher does?
Yep.
Makes the pitcher look really bad, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yes, he certainly does. By the way, Joe, in terms of the overall American League standings, as we focus on the weekend, Cleveland lost at home yesterday against the Rays. The Rays rally late to win 5-2. So the Yankees, with their victory, not only extend the lead in the division in the American League East to 2 games, they now have a game lead over Cleveland for that number 1 overall seeded spot in the American League. So let's focus on the weekend watch list. A lot of focus on those first two series. The Mets will visit Philadelphia. The Dodgers will visit Atlanta. The Braves enter the weekend a full game behind New York for the third and final National League wild card spot. The Phillies a full game in front of the Dodgers for the number one overall seed in the National League. How much is going to change, Joe, at the end of the weekend with those four teams and where they stand in postseason consideration?
To me, it's all about watching the Braves from this point on here. I'm fairly confident the Mets will win enough games to secure themselves a spot, but it's all going to be dependent on what happens with this Braves team at home against the Dodgers. You would want to give the nod to the Braves, but quite honestly, Ben, I don't know that they can be trusted. Even against the Dodgers and that banged-up pitching staff, can't trust the Braves. I think that's the one to keep an eye on this week because that's going to have a big determination on who is actually in the postseason.
Aaron Nola gets the start tonight in Philadelphia against the Amazons. It's minus 158 in favor of the Phils. In Atlanta, Spencer Schwellenbach, who has been a lot better in the last month plus for Atlanta after a tough start to his rookie season. Landon Knack on the other side for LA. The Braves right now a slight pick'em favorite as it works in their way at minus 112. Elsewhere around the American League, the weekend series continues between the Red Sox and the Yankees. Can the O's muster up something? They've been mediocre since the All-Star break. Baltimore on the road in Detroit. The Tigers losing yesterday despite a strong pitching performance out of Tarek Skubal. To the Colorado Rockies, it ruined a run line parlay for me, Joe.
It was a terrible loss, by the way, for Detroit. But I wouldn't count them out just yet. We'll see if they can bounce back here this weekend.
The Padres in a divisional duel against the Giants up in San Francisco. The Diamondbacks will host the Milwaukee Brewers, who are running away with the National League Central. Both Arizona and San Diego have cooled off slightly, but still ahead for those top two spots in the NL wildcard position. The marquee matchup of Week 2 Sunday slate next.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
A huge game, as many of them are, inside Arrowhead Stadium that features the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. It's the marquee matchup of Sunday in the afternoon window. On In Game Live on Sunday, Joe Ranieri and Mike Blewett will be previewing that game as the early window wraps up. Before we dive into the numbers for this specific Sunday showdown, let's look at the history between this budding rivalry in the AFC. The narrative, Joe, around the first three meetings between Burrow and Mahomes was that Joe had Patrick's number, and Cincinnati was ahead. Two regular season matchups late in both 2021 and 2022 went the way of the Bengals, but most notably, it was 2021, the Bengals winning the AFC Championship in Arrowhead in overtime. But as of late, Kansas City has had the answer. They edge out Cincinnati the following year in the AFC Championship game. They go on to Super Bowl 57 and win their first of now two consecutive Lombardi trophies over Philadelphia. And then last year, Joe Burrow did not play in the Week 17 game, but still very important for KC because if you remember at the time, the Chiefs were slumping. There was a thought that they could lose the AFC West, a division they had won 7 consecutive seasons, and they picked up a 25-17 win over Jake Browning and the Bengals. But it's been a good series between these two organizations, which is interesting when you look at the numbers for Sunday.
Yeah, and the problem is, and this is just a huge value play for me, Ben, because I was all over Cincinnati when this line opened up at 6.5. Then it was 6. Now it's down to 5.5 here. It wouldn't shock me if it even gets to 5. Listen, this is total overreaction to what we saw from Kansas City against Baltimore, keeping in mind that Patrick Mahomes in that game had 6 plays of at least 20 yards or more last week. I can assure you, Joe Anarumo there and the Trey Henderson are not going to allow Patrick Mahomes to sit back there and throw the ball all over the field and beat them deep here. Joe Burrow, always Zach Taylor, always terrible out of the gate in game one. But then what happens is as the season progresses, they get better, and better. Turnovers killed the offense last week against New England. I promise you that will not be the case here. I am fully anticipating a night and day turnaround with what we're going to get from the Bengals in this one.
5.5-point spread in favor of the Chiefs. 47.5 is the over-under for Sunday in Kansas City. It should be no surprise to see Mahomes and the Chiefs as a home favorite, even a hefty home favorite, against a team that I would still think we expect to contend for an AFC crown. And it hasn't been Buffalo. It hasn't been Baltimore. It hasn't been the Chargers or the Raiders or the Broncos or the AFC West. The only team that has really stood in the way of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC in the last 5 years is Joe Burrow and Cincinnati. So that 5.5-point spread. The only issue, Ranieri, you're right, since he does get better as the season progresses. Just not often, at least in the last 2 years, by week 2. We said this after Cincy dismally lost their season opener as a 7.5-point home favorite against the New England Patriots. The Bengals, since knocking off the Chiefs in OT in the 2021 AFC Championship game and playing in Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles, the next 3 seasons, including this year, have lost their season opener outright, booked as at least a touchdown favorite. In the previous 2 years, Ranieri, they have also lost week number 2. Of course, in 2022, they won 4 of their next 6. They ended the regular season winning 8 straight. They had won 10 straight, entering that AFC title in Kansas City against the Chiefs. Last year, before Joe Burrow got banged up, after the 0-2 start, since he won 4 of their next 5, they lost to Houston the following week. We're looking pretty good early in that short week Thursday night football game against Baltimore before the wrist injury that sidelined Joe Burrow for the remainder of the season. And, Joe, there's been some videos showing Joe Burrow Week 1 against the Pats, shaking out the injured wrist from last year. There appeared to be an issue with the way he grabbed a Gatorade bottle on the sideline. it doesn't sound like you are concerned about Cincy entering this matchup against Kansas City. Should the betting public be?
Well, they're not either, Ben, because this opened up at 6.5, and yet here we sit on Friday. The money ain't coming in on Kansas City, so how he grabs a Gatorade bottle apparently doesn't bother the folks that shape the market right now, and I'll tell you why. To me, it's very simple. We can both agree that there are certain quarterbacks in the NFL in which they have done enough and a big enough sample size where you give them the benefit of the doubt. Like Joe Burrow, for instance, as an underdog, 17-2-2 against the number is in his career as an underdog of more than 2 points. And guess what? In those games, 10-3 straight up as a underdog when they're getting 2 or more points here. And don't forget the Bengals under Joe Burrow, when they have failed to score 17 points in the previous game, they're 11-2 against the number in the next game. Give me Cincinnati. Stop fading Joe Burrow. The wrist is fine.
And when you think about that AFC Championship game in 2022 that Kansas City answered at home from losing the year prior in OT, the Bengals were a 4.5-point underdog in that game, so they did end up covering the number. Of course, as we shared last week, as a home favorite with Patrick Mahomes as the starter in Kansas City since the start of 2018 after the win and cover against Baltimore to open up the season. The Chiefs are now 28-27-3 against the spread. But to Joe's point, in 2020, Joe Burrow only played 10 games, but I think in every one, the Bengals were an underdog. If you even take when the resurgence in Cincinnati happened starting the following year in 2021, the Bengals as a dog, 14-7 against the spread. 14-7 ATS. They have been very, very good when getting points. Last week, Joe Burrow, only 164 yards. 229.5 is the number for this week. The Bengals have moved back in the marketplace to a 10-1 price now to win the AFC. We'll see how it goes after Sunday. More on the early line next.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
So the marquee matchup of Sunday might actually be in the afternoon hours, 4:25 p.m. Eastern time, to kick in KC between the Chiefs and the Bengals. But Sunday Night Football is still a very intriguing matchup. To H-Town we go. The Texans host the Bears. 6.5-point spread in favor of Houston. 45 and a hook is the over-under. Part of the reason, Joe, this is a very compelling matchup is because you have the number 1 overall pick from this year versus the number 2 overall pick from last year. That would be Caleb Williams versus C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud, who had a sensational rookie season, 4,108 passing yards, ran away with the Offensive Rookie of the Year award by like week 6, week 7, and led his team to a playoff appearance, a divisional championship, and a playoff win in his very first NFL season. The same expectations that are kind of being tossed around when it comes to Caleb Williams and the Bears.
So this is another one of these great situations, Ben, in week 2 where we get a whole lot of overreaction, right? I will just tell folks that while, yes, Caleb Williams looked like, oh, are you ready for this? A rookie. That's exactly what he looked like there. The reason that they loaded the defensive side of the ball was for that reason there.
Yep.
You do realize the look-ahead line to this game was about 3.5. And then, of course, the immediate reaction after they barely won that game against Tennessee is that, oh, no, Houston's going to be, their World Series champ. And they bet this thing up, Ben, as high as a touchdown. It looks like it's come back here just a hair. And to me, this is all about the value that you get with the Chicago Bears. That is a real defense, Ben. Make no mistake about it. It's certainly going to be better than what the Houston Texans faced against Indy, which, by the way, coming off a 2-point win against a division rival is never an easy game to play the following week, and that's what they got right now with Chicago.
On the road, albeit in Indianapolis, the Colts did cover as a 3.5-point home underdog. I'll get to the trends for the Texans as a favorite with C.J. Stroud in just a moment. But, Joe, to your point, the Bears, often under Matt Eberflus, have been booked as an underdog. He has been the head coach for 34 regular season games, now 35, but they were favored by a field goal and a hook last week in the Windy City. And because of the defense and special teams in the second half rally against the Titans, they covered the number. But in the previous 2 years as a dog, 11, 16, and 1 against the spread. Not very good. 2022, Eberflus's rookie season as a head coach, just 5 and 10 against the number, often as an underdog. Last year, better, including in that home stretch. They were 6, and 1 ATS as an underdog. Chicago won 5 of their final 7 games last regular season, which led to the debate around Justin Fields. Would Chicago retain the number 1 overall pick? But kind of lost in that discussion, Joe, was Matt Eberflus taking back the reins as the defensive play caller in the Windy City, even as the head coach, in a defense that really sporked that great end of the season and the 5 victories in the last 7 games. And that was on display Sunday against Will Levis, who, boy, that guy stinks at the quarterback position. And then, Joe, you go maybe to some overreactions from the prop perspective. Caleb Williams entering his rookie debut for the Bears last week at Soldier Field. 242 and a half was his passing yards prop. Okay, maybe a little bit lofty for a guy that was 14 of 29 for only 93 yards. The number is dropped by nearly 30 yards entering Sunday Night Football in Houston. 214 in a hook for Caleb. On the other side for C.J. Stroud, 263 and a half his passing yards prop.
Yeah, and I would imagine that, we're going to get a few more yards here, and expectations were once again diminishing here because of what we got last week. But that's why I love week 2 and week 3 in the NFL, Ben. The overreactions are just crazy after one game.
Love it. And we'll get to some of those overreactions, at least in my estimation, when we start hour number 2 on this Football Friday on the other side of the break. You might see 214 and a hook for a Bears quarterback and say, that seems pretty fair for what we know in Chicago. Last year, C.J. Stroud became the 5th rookie quarterback to throw for more than 4,000 yards. The Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in a single season in franchise history. Caleb has to be better than 215 yards if the Bears are going to be a winning team and earn a playoff berth. He cannot be Justin Fields reincarnate in terms of the passing yards numbers, and Chicago do the same thing. Keep an eye on that prop for Sunday in Houston. Hour number 2 on this Football Friday is up next.